How do we talk about on-off relationships? How should we start this? Welcome back!
Hello,
What's up, YouTube? Jerwin up in here.
It is Yzobel.
Welcome to our channel!
Yay!
YZOwin! We are here as millennials and Gen Z giving you guys some unfiltered adult advice. In this episode, we're going to be talking about on and off relationships.
Do you know anyone that has had like
Oh God,
on-off
tons.
relationship?
Tons, man.
But that has worked out in the end.
Okay, so here's the thing. I don't know
Okay.
what working out means because they have 2 children now.
Oh, damn.
So you know, is that a good
Woo.
thing? Is that a bad thing? Is that what
Well,
it needs to work out in a on-off relationship?
Right.
Right? Like that relationship has been going on for, I don't know, like 5-6 years on and off.
Ooh.
You know, and then, you know, I was talking to, like, I know the girl in this relationship, and, you know, talking to her, she's like, you know what, I'm so confident that it's gonna work out with him. He just needs to get his shit together, blah, 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 all those, like, you know,
Yeah.
typical excuses, right? And, you know, like, luckily they ended up together, I think.
Dope.
I think for a
Nice.
good run. But they also have 2 kids. So I don't know
Yeah.
if they're staying together for the kids, even though she
Oh.
said that, you know, she loves him and, you know, he loves her and all
Totally.
that fun stuff. So, you know, having kids does complicate things a little bit, but it was kind of obvious that it
Yeah.
was leading to like the off phase, and then it was obvious that they were going back to the on phase. So it wasn't really exciting,
Oh, I see.
right? Like I hear you have a
Yeah.
more exciting on-off story that lasted.
Ah,
How long did that last?
7 years.
And did that turn on?
Oh my god. Okay, well, throwback. I was like 15, so I'm 23 now. Long time ago. So like 14, 15.
Yeah.
We met when we were 13. Yeah, we met through sport. Quickly became friends with this guy who was the same age as me, and that's kind of how it happened because we were the same age. So we were put in the class where
Right.
you're like the same
They say
age.
age or like
Yeah, exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And when you're dating, when you're 14, it's like
That doesn't really count.
it's weird.
It doesn't
It's
count,
Like, what am
too,
I doing? I
right?
don't know.
Like, do I hold your hand?
No.
Like, do I kiss you? Like, am I supposed to tell you I love you? Like, no.
Oh, it's
That
so
shit
weird.
is awkward.
Totally. It's so awkward. And it's because, like, we're in sports, too. It's even worse
Oh
because
my
the
God.
instructors and, like, so, like, the teachers and your classmates and, like,
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
parents, they watch you. So
Exactly.
it's like, you know your parents and, like, his parents are watching and, like, everyone knows.
All eyes are
So,
on you
yeah.
too.
Yeah, legit. Parents they're very like traditional Filipino, and it's their first time, like their firstborn daughter was like seeing a guy, and you know, he's like Filipino too. So it was a mess from the beginning because of how young we were. Our parents wanted to control the whole situation.
Really?
Yeah. Like what
Both
was
parents
happening.
were trying to set you 2 up with
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
They pretty much said, you guys can hang out, but you need to do these things. Or
Yeah.
like they need to be there.
Yeah.
Okay,
like,
but that makes
these
sense
are like
though.
the rules. This is where you're allowed to go. So because of that like awkward pressure,
Yeah.
no one knew what was happening. It was confusing.
Like
it
you
was
and him.
very confusing.
And
Because
like,
we weren't like together, like
Right.
we were like friends, like really, really good friends. For 1 whole year of that, like the very first
Oh my
year.
God,
So
that was a whole year.
yeah, like 14
Holy
to 15.
shit.
We were never together, but we were kind of like in this weird like, oh my god, like what do we do? Because our parents obviously like see us
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
being together forever, but at the same time it's like, wait, but you know, we're just so young, and I've never dated anyone, so I want to see other people. Our parents were like, Yzobel, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean? My parents were very heartbroken. They didn't really know how to handle the situation, and I only like knew that afterwards, right? But like during the time, like they were like, you're not allowed to talk to him, you're not allowed to see him, you're not allowed to hang out anymore. And that's when it became like so messy because both our parents were of course like involved in the beginning, but then when we broke up, like they were even more involved.
So they pretty much took that breakup.
Yeah.
Like, to
Yeah,
heart.
like seriously. My parents are being so dictative of my teenage years, and like they don't really understand that you know, as
You
a
need to
teenager,
explore, be
yeah,
open to most things.
totally.
Right.
And just because a relationship ends doesn't mean you stop being friends.
Mhm.
And there was no relationship like that.
Tell me about how it ended.
The way it ended was actually mutual. What ended up happening is like our goals didn't align, our core values went separate ways. It felt like I was waiting for him. Like that's how it felt. Like
Oh,
it
those
felt,
are bad.
yeah. I learned that if somebody wanted to be with you, they would have. Like you wouldn't have to wait.
Yeah,
at
like you'd
all.
have to push.
Exactly. And it's like such a blessing in disguise because eventually I met someone that I fell in love with, like really fucking fast, and I never thought that would happen.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. Like I was like, fuck, like I'm literally never gonna get out of this like shitty, toxic situation. But then one day, you know, without even looking for it, it happens to you and you meet the right person. And it makes you literally realize why everything in the past didn't work out.
Yeah.
And how like
fell into place,
yes.
right? Like each of the thing that kind of happened, it's like that stepping stone to the bigger thing or the better thing.
Yes.
Right? Oh, I love that.
And it's also, you realize how easy it is to be with somebody that's right for you, because it was just so difficult. It sucked your energy, like you just never knew what was gonna happen.
It's mentally draining because
it's so draining.
You know, I think that's where, you know, both people like you and him were just sick and tired of the situation, like in different ways, right? Like for you wanted to be like, all right, let's figure this out. You know, is this gonna work? Yes or no? Like you were like really into it.
Yeah.
And I feel like with him, he was more so like, let's just fucking do whatever we need to do.
Yes.
Right? Like there was no
100%.
structure on his end, whereas for you, it's like, we need to like create a strategy for this and like, execute it. Right? But do you think if had he, you know, really said to you, I'm gonna leave you alone because you need to do you and I need to do me.
Yeah.
Let's say, you know, a couple years before, do you think you would have been in this situation now? You know, like what I said before, right? Like things are happening to get you closer to the better thing.
Yeah. That's
right? So like, I mean, I totally get it, right?
That's
like
so
you
true.
wish like shit would have happened now or like sooner, so you could have just like done and dealt with it and moved on. But it's like you kind of needed to have those like other lessons.
So true.
Right? In that, you know, time frame, right? 4 or 5 years or however long.
Agree.
Right? Because if it ended like right then and there, then you probably may have done or may have learned something from another person.
True.
Right? Before you find your boyfriend now, because well, fuck,
Yeah.
you needed to grow.
That's facts.
You're fucking young, bro. Like,
yeah, that's true.
like,
I forget that sometimes.
but like you're fucking young.
totally
like
forget
you
that
are
sometimes.
23, and when this whole shit show started was about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like that is a lot of growth that I don't think I witness a lot, you know, from like my friends or even myself. So like, I think what you went through, as long and shitty as it was, you know, like if it ended early, I feel like you would have been in a similar situation still.
At one point, we totally disconnected from each other. So like no contact, whatever, you know. And then one day when he came back into my life, I've already moved on. And it was actually like such a blessing in disguise, because when he came back into my life, I was just a whole other person.
Yeah.
So at that point, it was like you can distance yourself from the situation and you can like see like bird's eye view what's actually happening.
Exactly.
Whereas like when you're in it, you can only see this. You know, you can only see like tunnel vision. You can't really understand like you and like how you're feeling, you know. So the relationship actually like changed as well, because like at the time I was like in love with someone. We established a new relationship. So because there was like about a year that passed where we didn't talk, it was completely different. We kind of like sat each other down and we were like, okay, if we're gonna be in each other's lives, like let's make sure that shit doesn't happen again. And we had a really, really, really great and long conversation of like, hey, like during this time, this is actually how I felt. This is why this relationship was really toxic to me, even though maybe you didn't feel that way. Here are my boundaries, and here is the things that will never happen ever again, and we're never going to repeat them ever again. And also, here's what I want, like, in the future, and like the kind of relationship I want with you specifically.
I guess relationships comes in all shapes and forms, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, kind of like friendships, for example.
Totally.
Right? And, you know, I feel like this guy, he needed to be there for you in this toxic way or
Oh my
in a
God.
very uplifting way.
For sure.
Right? So, like, how are you guys now after having that conversation? Like, do you feel like when that kind of conversation happened, was he a different person? Was he the same? Because, you know, the way you describe it, you were kind of like this third person looking in
Yeah.
with the whole situation.
So it's like crazy because I 100% needed space from him. Like,
No.
yeah, like 100%. And you know that like quote, like loving someone from afar?
Sure.
Okay. It's more something that we like check up on each other.
Yeah.
Maybe like every season.
Yeah.
You know, special occasions, birthdays,
Right.
like
Right. Like holidays and stuff.
if anything happens, like we know we'll be there for each other.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like very, very solid. Like
Yeah.
the foundation of our relationship is very solid, which is really nice. My car breaks down, we'll be like, hey,
Help me out, bro.
yeah, please. And I know like he'll be there, which is
That's
like
good.
really great.
I
you
like
know?
that.
Like a really good
Yeah.
like friendship.
Yeah.
And I feel like even from the beginning, that's why we worked out so well, is because we had a really great friendship.
Yeah.
So that's like where we're at right now, and that's pretty much it.
So I was dating someone, right? So we met online and, you know, things were okay. But I wasn't really feeling it. They were like substantially younger than me. And I felt like their maturity level wasn't as high as I wanted it to be. And around that time, I was just going through, you know, someone ghosting me, and I really fell for them, right? So, you know, we gotta talk about ghosting. Fuck, we should talk about ghosting. Oh man, I got stories for that. I got stories for ghosting. You know, I really fell for that person that ended up ghosting me. So my mindset was already kind of all over the place. But I feel like I needed to go through that kind of, you know, chaotic mess because it helped me realize what I wanted, right? So when, you know, I was seeing this person, I already knew what I wanted, and it wasn't them, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But we stayed in touch, we stayed friends, we would kind of, you know, check in on each other every now and then, send memes to each other. So it was still kind of lighthearted in that sense. And then, you know, they were seeing someone and they kind of reached out to me because they wanted kind of advice, right? Like, how could they approach that relationship? At the time, they were seeing someone, and I was also kind of seeing someone. Oh, that's a fucking mess.
Yeah.
That was a mess. Oh! So they came to me, and we were talking, and I was like, hey, you know what? Like, you need to cut that person out because I don't think they're going to be right for you, right? And, you know, at the time, I was also feeling vulnerable to them, or to that person, where I kind of just confessed, yeah, I still feel like I want to be with you. I just don't think the timing was right in the beginning.
Yeah.
So, you know, they ended things with that person, I ended things with my person, and then, you know, we kind of still kept in touch, talking a little bit more, kind of gradually. And then I was just like, cool, like, this is comfortable, this was fun, this was, you know, something that I didn't really expect nor was going to work towards. So I feel like that was kind of like our off time where, you know, we were seeing other people, we were talking to other people, we were talking to each other still, but we weren't really committed to each other.
Ooh.
Right? So that's where I was feeling comfortable. And I liked that, right? But, you know, as time went by, we talked a lot more, we hung out with each other more, and, you know, it kind of just kept building up. And I was like, you know what, like, okay, fine, let's give this another shot and, you know, start dating, you know, make it a little bit more exclusive, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, things were okay for a bit, and then kind of went down a little bit because, you know, I wasn't really sure if we were exclusive. So I kind of slept with someone else, and, you know, they found out, and then they were like, what the hell, I thought this was a thing. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, I don't know, right? Like, I didn't know what we were, right? Like, you know, I'm not saying I like to put labels on things, but labels kind of definitely do help kind of create those boundaries, right? And I guess that was kind of just like my fault, where, you know, I didn't really set the boundaries, where I kind of led them on, but I didn't want to lead them on. It wasn't my intention leading them on because I thought we were just like, seeing each other but not really committed. Like it was a whole fucked up situation,
Whoa.
right? So it was just like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a good thing, right? I felt like what I was kind of lacking with them in the beginning is what I saw at that time, right? So to me, us becoming like on and off and on and off kind of helped me realize, okay, like who is this person, right? Like, is this the person that I really do see myself, continuing to date, right? And we were kind of just still kind of trucking on with whatever that was. And we kept talking more about this relationship, right? Like, for you, it wasn't like a relationship. For me, it was like, it was building towards a relationship.
Gotcha.
Right? Luckily, no parents are involved. Thank God.
My goodness.
That's a mess.
That would have been a lot.
Right? So, we kind of just kept talking about it. And we decided, hey, let's just make this a thing. Right? So, long story short, in the beginning, we were kind of just like their intention and my intention were different.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Coming together. And I think that's what kind of put me off about wanting to pursue something with them.
Totally.
Right? And then I said, hey, like, let's try to be friends, keep some distance. You do you, I do me. And we did, but we still kept in touch. We still kind of had like some sort of relationship or friendship. And I think because we worked hard to stay friends, to become friends, that's what made it easier for me to accept, okay, I'm really liking this person. There's something I'm seeing, there's a vibe, and then you build on that, and there's a better vibe, and then you keep building and building and building to the point now we're in like a full-on committed relationship, right?
Yeah,
so, like, even though it's not as crazy as 7 years, this was a span of like, under a year.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
Like we met, oh my God, we met in 2018. And then, that whole thing happened during around like the winter time, fall, winter time. And then we kind of got back together around spring. And then since last spring of 2019, we've been, kind of going stronger and stronger, right? So, I think looking back at it, like I don't regret, having that off phase or like breaking it off in the beginning, because to me, it was like my learning experience, right? Like I needed to learn, I needed to experience certain things before I was sure, right? And I wanted them to also experience certain things. And, thankfully they did, we both did, and we were there for each other when we were going through all that, right?
For sure.
So kind of like similar to you and your guy, where you were still kind of in each other's lives, but not really in a relationship. That's what I had. So I totally could relate to that, but when it came down to, the toxicity and, them being in your life is like a negative thing.
Yeah.
Thankfully I didn't experience that. I mean, unfortunately, I met someone who was toxic for me, who was a toxic person in general. So, I think that kind of was the switch to say, okay, I know now what I want.
That's great.
Most of my past relationships were trash. Sorry, exes. I guess my tips for someone who's kind of going through this like on and off phase is like, you never really know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right? Like for my instance, like I wanted to grow, but I saw something in this person where I think they just needed time. Right? It wasn't so much like, oh, ew, you're not good for me, like get away, get out of my life. It wasn't like that. Right? I mean, yes, there's some times where, I had to do that to certain people where I'm like, get the fuck out of my life because like I'm not down for this toxic shit.
100%.
But, with this person, I was like, okay, there's something there. We'll kind of see where it goes, right? Not to say like I was dragging them along, like don't ever lead people on. Always be kind of upfront with your intentions, right? And, if you're dating someone still and, you realize while you're like in quarantine, like you might like someone else or like you're not into this, like quarantine does shit to you because it really makes you focus on like one fucking thing.
That's true.
Right? So I guess, my advice is just like really be open, right? Like communication, and I think, with your situation, I don't think you had that opportunity to really communicate because you were both in the situation.
It was a lot to process,
Yeah, like you were like running through it. You were like going through all that crap, like you couldn't have the time to like step back and be like, oh, okay, I get it.
I would say the first thing is to define what you want.
Right.
On top of that is like, what happens if that person doesn't want the same thing? Like, you need to recognize like you also have needs and you can't put other person's needs first. And I think that was a really big lesson for me, and that's why I've like waited for so long, or that's why I felt like that, is because I didn't prioritize like my needs first, right? Find somebody that wants the same thing. At the end of the day, the only person that can give yourself everything is you, and you deserve that.
If you can't love yourself, how the hell are you gonna love someone else? Queen RuPaul.
Well, there's always opportunity for growth, right? So what that looks like is you understanding who your higher self is and being the person that wants to achieve that. And what does that person look like?
Relationship should be fun.
It should be.
And you know, like having an on-off relationship shouldn't mean like it's the end of the world if you're an on, and if you go back on, don't feel guilty about it, because you're still trying to figure out your way in life, right? And you know, with this other person, if you strongly believe that, you know, this person that you're wanting to be with is going to be that person that, you know, benefits you as an individual, that helps you become your better self, or, you know, that actually brings out the best in you, then it's okay to take a break, right? Like Ross and Rachel, think about it, right? Like they were on a break, but, you know, 10,000 years later, they ended up being together, right? So, you know, I think as, you know, someone who did take a small break, and giving it a chance, that's where, you know, the risk comes in. That's where the excitement comes in, right? Like, yeah, you know, maybe for you, you wish you didn't have like 7 years. It made you see like what you really wanted to be.
And who you wanted to be.
Who you wanted to be, what you wanted to do, right? Like, I think it's fun, right? Going through that self-discovery phase is fun. And, you know, I think an on-off relationship is kind of just a part of that. Whether it's someone who you never really dated, or someone who is too immature for me. I'm joking, love you, babe. So yeah, we want to shut the fuck up right now, so we're gonna end this video. So if you learned something, please like, share, and subscribe. You know, also leave some hateful comments below, because you're probably wanting to turn us off already. But if we turned you on, make sure you hit that button, yo.
Hey.
All right, until next time, YouTube. Peace.
We turned you on.